Good morning, everyone. It is 9 a.m. Thanks for tuning in to Daybreak here on WGRZ Plus. We've got a half hour left of streaming here. Then you'll want to tune back into WGRZ Plus or Channel 2 at 10 a.m. when we've got the Bills press conference coming up with Brandon Beane and there we go, Patrick. Hello. Brandon Beane and Bills owner Terry Pegula having that press conference at 10 a.m. Expected to answer a lot of questions from the media about the firing of Sean McDermott. Again, that's happening at 10 a.m. and we'll be carrying it live on Channel 2 and here on WGRZ Plus. Later on in this newscast, we're going to get to some of the names that have been tossed around this morning already on X, with some people having sources saying that they know who the Bills will be interviewing, some of the names being tossed around. So we'll talk about that in just a little bit, Patrick. Lots of names coming out this morning.
Yeah, lots of, they're coming, all sorts of names
All
now.
sorts of names, yeah. We'll talk about some not surprising and others a little bit surprising. But right now, it is 14 degrees. So we started at 10 degrees this morning, and 14 degrees, we're going to double it today, which is good.
We are, yeah. It's going to be a mild day today. Temperatures close to 30 degrees, but we do have some snow coming. Let's get right to it. We have lots to talk about. You'll see that we have temperatures that are going to trend very cold Friday and Saturday with snow showers each and every day. Saturday, we may get a break in the snow, but more snow comes Sunday. There you can see the clouds have rolled in. We had some early sun, but clouds have now entered back into western New York, and snow is not far behind. You can see the snow across the western end of Lake Erie, and that will be here this afternoon. Later this morning into the afternoon, here's a 4 o'clock snapshot of some snow showers around, temperatures right around 30 to 31 degrees. Tomorrow morning, maybe a little break early, but more snow looms to our west, and it will come in during the day tomorrow. Scattered snow showers, nothing too terribly heavy. Temperatures actually falling a bit during the day, low 20s in the afternoon, and then we're going to be down into the teens, it looks like, on Friday and certainly on Saturday. You can see Friday's high of about 13.9 or so. That may be optimistic for Saturday. That's the kind of cold coming. And then widespread light to moderate snow and 18 degrees. Whew, what a wintry day on Sunday, and that snow could extend into Monday, Melissa, of next week.
Wow, a lot of winter weather on the way. All right, we'll talk about it later. Patrick, thank you. We're following some breaking news right now. This just came into the newsroom about a half hour ago. Now we're trying to get more information about a deadly crash involving an Amish horse-drawn buggy. State police say they responded to the town of Willing. That's in southern Allegheny County, right near the PA state line. It all happened around 1 o'clock yesterday afternoon. They say the buggy made a turn and hit a fully loaded logging truck. The person driving the buggy has been identified as 24-year-old Atlee Miller, and he died at the hospital. The horse was not hurt. And we're going to take a live look right now from this scene that we've been following since about 5 o'clock this morning. This is the 90 East near the 190 South interchange. And you can see the large semi rolled over on its side. Caused a brief lane closure earlier this morning, but it has since opened back up, although the cleanup has yet to really start. We're still waiting to learn about what caused the crash or if anyone was injured. We will update you once we learn more. Well, we are also working to find out more details about a deadly train crash that happened in Dunkirk. Police say the train hit a man's car around 1:30 yesterday afternoon at a CSX railroad crossing on Middle Road. The driver was taken to Brooks Memorial Hospital and later died. His name has not been released, and that accident is still under investigation. And the thruway around Dunkirk finally reopened around 1 o'clock this morning. Take a look at these stunning pictures showing why the westbound lanes were closed since 1 o'clock yesterday afternoon. As many as 60 tractor trailers and cars were involved in several pileups over a 6-mile stretch. Drivers had to get off at exit 57 in Hamburg, and it was closed through exit 60 in Dunkirk. Several people were hurt. Thankfully, they are expected to be okay. Obviously, the blowing snow and those whiteout conditions yesterday contributed to the crash and made the rescues and cleanup very difficult. Some court cases we're following today. A convicted former DEA agent will soon learn his fate. Court records show that Joseph Bongiovanni is scheduled to be sentenced in federal court this morning. Bongiovanni was found guilty of using his position to protect drug dealers from law enforcement investigations. The former federal agent went to trial twice over allegations that he took bribes from drug dealers, which includes former strip club owner Peter Gervais, who organized a drug and sex trafficking operation and himself is waiting to be sentenced. Bongiovanni was acquitted on those bribery charges, but he was found guilty of conspiracy and obstruction of justice. Bongiovanni's conviction is the first ever of a federal agent in Western New York on public corruption charges. And when it comes to how much time Bongiovanni will serve behind bars, it's up in the air. Prosecutors are pushing for anywhere from 30 to 34 years. Federal sentencing guidelines once recommended that he would likely serve between 20 and 24 years. However, a recent ruling from the judge indicated that Bongiovanni would likely face an 8 to 10-year sentence. Two on your side will learn more this morning at that sentencing. And Bongiovanni is not the only one expected in court today. The federal case involving Faro strip club owner Peter Gervais will be back in front of a judge as well. Today's hearing is a status conference. It's scheduled for this afternoon in Buffalo. Right now, the focus is on Gervais and 5 other men who were indicted on charges of witness tampering. The federal government is accusing them of giving star witness Crystal Quinn a lethal dose of fentanyl before she could testify. Quinn was discovered dead of an overdose in a Wellsville apartment months before the trial was set to begin. There was a debate over whether the judge should release details from grand jury proceedings, which are held in secret. Gervais's lawyers are arguing they can't properly defend their client if they don't have the details on those proceedings. And we're also following another major court case due back in court today, the sentencing for an Illinois man who admitted to breaking into a Buffalo school and trying to kidnap a student. You'll remember it's a case that went viral after Buffalo Police Detective Richard High talked about it on the Unsubscribed podcast last April. We're talking about Shane Cronin, who last February entered the Charles Drew Science Magnet School without permission and attempted to lure and abduct a young girl. He also admitted to punching a woman who worked at the school. He's facing up to 15 years in prison for attempted kidnapping, attempted luring of a child, and attempted assault, among other charges. Two on your side will be at Erie County Court for Cronin's sentencing later this morning. And a Buffalo man who killed a young teen in a drive-by shooting is also scheduled to be sentenced today. Back in July of 2023, Avante Ayala fired at a group of teenagers who were outside an apartment on Mortimer Street near Broadway. 13-year-old Miracle Hunt was shot and she died before she could get to a hospital. The Erie County DA's office says the girl was just an innocent bystander. Ayala is convicted of second-degree murder and criminal possession of a weapon and faces a maximum of 40 years to life in prison. The Buffalo Common Council is inviting public housing residents to take part in a hearing tonight. It follows recent concerns about conditions, delayed maintenance, and other issues in Buffalo's public housing. No registration is required to speak, but time will be limited for comments. The hearing is taking place from 5:30 to 7:30 at the Central Library. And a heads up, if you do take the above-ground Metro Rail, the NFTA says rail service will operate on a single track between the Church and Canalside Station until the end of the month. So trains moving between Church and Canalside in both directions will only run on the inbound track until this Saturday, and then the trains will only move on the outbound track from Sunday through the end of the month. Again, they will go in both directions, but the trains will be coming around every 20 minutes. Stay with us. We will certainly talk Bills and a lot more coming up right after the break. All right, buckle up, Bills Mafia. The Bills search is beginning for a head coach, that is. About an hour ago, ESPN's Adam Schefter announced that the Bills have requested an interview with former Giants head coach and former Bills offensive coordinator Brian Daboll. That is not surprising at all, Patrick, especially since he is a St. Francis graduate and loves Western New York and has a good relationship with Brandon Beane. So that one is not surprising at all. His name was one of the first to be mentioned among possible top candidates here.
Didn't you spend time with him? Didn't you hang out with him at some evening or?
Yes,
a couple years ago?
Did an event at St. Francis.
That's okay.
Wonderful, wonderful guy.
Right.
He loves the Queen of Heaven Carnival,
right.
Goes there every summer with his family, is deeply still connected to Western New York, raised his kids here, and really loves the community and loves the atmosphere of the Bills and Buffalo. So I wouldn't be surprised if he'd want to come back here, but we've got a lot of other names to talk about this morning because a lot has been leaked this morning. So we know also, according to Adam Schefter, that Anthony Lynn will interview for the job on Saturday. He's a former Bills assistant head coach, current Commanders run game coordinator. So he will be one of the people who will be interviewed. Now, Diana Rossini, she is the senior NFL insider from The Athletic and also New York Times. She tweeted out a couple names this morning. No surprise here, but she did learn from sources that the Bills offensive coordinator Joe Brady will be interviewed for the Bills head coaching position. Also, Colts defensive coordinator Lou Anarumo, he's going to come here and interview. I don't know anything about him.
I don't either.
And Tom Pelissero just posted a few minutes ago on X that the Bills requested an interview with Jacksonville Jaguars offensive coordinator Grant Udinski. He's only 30 years old, as young as Clint Kubiak. Can you imagine a 30-year-old being the coach of a team?
Well, Sean McVay was that age when he started with the Rams. Yeah, growing up, you had older coaches, Marv Levy, Bill Walsh, all of these names and older gentlemen. Now you get these younger coaches, and it seems to be kind of a trend to get head coaches that can be in their lower 30s or even 30.
You know, whoever it's going to be is going to have an awful lot of pressure on them to get the Bills to a Super Bowl, though.
Huge.
Do they have 1 year, one opportunity? Because a lot of people will be saying, well, why'd you get rid of McDermott if you wanted a Super Bowl so badly and this guy didn't get it to you either? So whoever takes this job is going to be under a tremendous amount of pressure by this team. And they'll be answering to Brandon Beane. There's so many.
And by the way, the schedule next year for the Bills is like a gauntlet compared to this year. The teams they play are the top echelon of the NFL.
However, they're the top echelon right now, but will they be next year?
Exactly.
You never know.
You never.
All right, so we talked about a lot of this and more with Vic Carucci on Daybreak this morning. Take a look at that interview.
What I've learned is that there was a definite rift, a split philosophically between Sean McDermott and General Manager Brandon Beane, and that really was the driving force to this firing of Sean McDermott. This wasn't a short-term thing. This was lingering, from what I'm gathering, even more than just this one season, that this was sort of in the works, or at least I say in the works. It was happening, and when you have power struggles, and look, that happens throughout corporate America, it happens through a lot of things, but I've seen it more than enough times in the NFL. Usually there is a winner and a loser. In this case, Brandon Beane, and he gets that additional title of President of Football Operations, overseeing coaching, which is a massive surge in power for him, and he had the ear of team owner Terry Pegula, much more than Sean McDermott ever had.
Yeah, and that information that you've acquired, Vic, is getting national attention because we just didn't know that there was so much discord between those sides of the organization before all of this. So, Vic, outside of the thank you post that came 30 hours later, the organization has been really silent about this move. It's been a PR nightmare, actually. Yeah. And fans are saying that they didn't give McDermott the respect he deserved. How open do you think Terry Pegula and Brandon Beane will be later in this press conference? What are we expecting to hear from them?
Yeah, Melissa, I think it's going to be a very fascinating session, or at least it has the table set for something like that. It is going to be all up to the kinds of questions they hear, and from what I can gather, talking to a lot of fellow media types who are going to be there and asking those questions, that will be the intention. Now, how they answer them, how they handle them, that's another story. And whether Terry Pegula actually fields questions will be one of the biggest issues of this session. Terry Pegula has not answered questions from the media going back until like 2019, and I was there for it. It was at an NFL owners meeting in Arizona. Adam Beniti and I happened to be part of that. I think John Scott was as well, if I'm pretty sure, when he was with Spectrum. So it'll be interesting. That'll be the interesting part. And then for Brandon Beane's part, to explain this whole situation, this relationship with Sean. Now, Brandon Beane does a very good job of communicating, so he may be able to, deftly move around that. I'm not entirely sure how that goes. And remember, the reason that this, you called it a PR nightmare, the reason why there is the hue and cry from fans. And look, some fans believe it was the right thing to do, obviously, but there's a good faction that look at it and say, this is, the guy who got this team to playoffs 8 of 9 seasons, won 5 division championships, has 98 regular season wins, 8 postseason wins. The numbers don't add up to an obvious reason to bounce him, except for this number, 0 Super Bowl appearances. Yeah. And the culture build that he was a part of, turning it around. There was a mess left behind by Rex Ryan in that last season in 2016. A lot to clean up. And by the way, give Brandon Beane credit for some of that cleanup as well. It wasn't just Sean McDermott, but Sean definitely set the cultural tone for this team. I think the franchise was feeling the reaction of the fan base, and coming around with that. You mentioned that video, which was really nice. That video presentation that they put on social media honoring Sean McDermott.
Yeah, but they leave a vacuum by not addressing it immediately, and fans will fill that vacuum for sure. All right, let's look ahead. The reality: we need a new head coach for the Bills, and a guy in the building who would normally be someone you look at. He's getting a lot of interviews. We're talking about Joe Brady. What are you hearing from that perspective as to who we might see in that role next?
Yeah, I mean, it's a logical, if not lazy, analysis to say, well, they got Joe Brady there, and he's the offensive coordinator, and the next coach of this team, I would be positive, is going to be offensive-oriented versus the defensive roots that Sean McDermott had. Because why? You got Josh Allen, and you've still got a window of Josh Allen giving this team its ability to pursue the Super Bowl dream, its best ability. So Brady could tie into that, but it's a young assistant coach who would be getting his first crack at being a head coach. Yes, Sean McDermott was a young assistant who got a crack at being a head coach when the Bills hired him. Are they going to get that lucky and find another guy who would have that much success? At least, they want the Super Bowl success too, but is he going to be that guy? So we'll see if it goes that route. I'm not convinced that they will necessarily stay in-house, that maybe want to go with the fresher approach, new face, somebody from the outside that people will recognize, and maybe somebody with NFL experience, but the NFL head coaching experience. But the rub there potentially is with Brandon Beane's new title and being in charge of all things football. Are you going to get someone with the gravitas of a former head coach? Mike McCarthy's name is out there. John Gruden's name has been mentioned. Maybe even you look at a couple of other people that have had those years of experience as head coaches. I know Mike Tomlin's name got thrown out, but Mike's not going to come back and coach. That's not happening. A name like Jason Garrett, who is in the media. This is the other thing. Look at for maybe some of those coaches turned media people. He works, of course, for NBC, Sunday Night Football. Someone mentioned his name the other day, and I said, that's interesting. He's been out of coaching a little bit, but you're transitioning into a new stadium. Do you want to make sure you've got at least a level of stability that goes with someone who has been a head coach? Yeah,
and things look messy right now in the organization. What head coach that's at top level will want to come here if they've got to answer to Brandon Beane and deal with, coming on the heels of a really good head coach just getting fired by this organization. So, yeah, there are so many questions, Vic, and we will all be watching. You'll be watching, and we'll get your reaction after the press conference at 10 o'clock this morning. We appreciate you being live here with us on Daybreak this morning for all of your insight and new information. Vic, thank you.
All right, thanks, Vic. And you can catch Vic later this morning as part of our coverage of the Beane Pegula press conference. Starts at 10 o'clock. We're going to have it both on Channel 2 and on WGRZ Plus.
Get your popcorn ready.
Will Mr. Pegula answer questions?
Yeah, I was really surprised about how long it's been. When Vic said it's been since 2019 at the owners' meeting, that's the last time he really took questions from the media. I think the one question that I would want to ask Terry Pegula is, how many more chances does Brandon Beane have to get to the team to a Super Bowl before he's let go?
Right, kind of an odd question to ask if he's sitting right next to him.
Yeah,
but still,
you have to ask the tough questions.
Right.
And everyone was wondering, if you needed a change in leadership, why wasn't it both? Why was it only one and not the guy who's also creating the roster that McDermott has to work with? And so how many more opportunities? If Terry Pegula really wants this team to reach the Super Bowl, who's going to take the fall next time? Is it just going to be this new head coach, or is it going to be the GM and the director of football operations also?
Yeah, exactly. What is that title? I mean, I hear it's a promotion, but how is it different?
Because he now makes all the football decisions.
Yeah, not just
the
players.
money.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So what time is it? It's
I know. Everybody set your alarms, right?
22.
Again,
Get your
lots of ways
popcorn
to
ready.
watch
I mean,
it.
it's true.
Channel
I
2,
mean,
WGRZ.com, WGRZ Plus. I know we've got a lot of friends and family in Florida. They can watch it on WGRZ Plus.
Yes, this is going to be watched nationwide, I think.
Everybody's going to be tuning in.
And the fact that we're airing it live on Channel 2, I mean, this wouldn't have happened 20, 30 years ago in terms of having this level
breaking into our coverage.
But that shows you the level of interest in this decision.
Right. I mean, the season-ending press conference would have been interesting enough with just talking about, okay, Mr. Pegula and Brandon, what do you think about the interception that was or wasn't an interception? What do you think needs to happen with the NFL? Should there be any recourse because of that? And also talking about the holes in the roster. What are the priorities for next year? So many questions about that. Oh, and then, by the way, we just fired your head coach.
Right. I bet if this, let's just say it's an hour long, Terry gets 5 minutes, Brandon gets 55.
It's very possible that Pegula will only say, read from a statement and then hand the mic over to Brandon Bean. And I'm also wondering, how's Kim doing? We haven't heard about an update about Kim Pegula in so long.
A good point.
So I want to know about that as well.
We've heard from, his daughter. She refers to her mom every now and then. But yeah, what is her status? How is she doing? She was so pivotal in the hiring of McDermott. Obviously, her role is not the same now. But yeah, how is her health? It's a good question.
A gazillion questions.
Right.
So I'm kind of sad I'm not going there to report on it myself. But I will be watching.
Oh,
and we
just
will
show
have.
up. You should just go. They'll love to have you there.
Oh, okay. They'll love that. But we will certainly be talking about it tomorrow on Daybreak. We'll have our reaction to everything that we're hearing, and we'll also have the experts' analysis as well. John Scott will be there, Vic Carucci will be there, and we'll talk to them on Channel 2 News midday. We'll hear immediately from them at 11 o'clock. But if that press conference is still going, we will keep it going through our midday newscast. So lots to watch, lots to talk about, and we will have more for sure. We'll be right back after this break. The Pegula's other team is doing pretty good. The Bills, the Sabres, rather, won last night. The youngsters look awesome. They beat the Nashville Predators 5-3 last night. 21-year-old rookie forward Noah Ostlund scored 2 goals. 19-year-old Konsta Helenius, 19. He played it only his second.
19?
He's 19 years old. He's just 2 years older than your son. He played in his second NHL game, scored his first NHL goal, added 2 assists, and their dominant period, the first period, was also made possible with the help of 20-year-old line mate Zach Benson.
Well, did you hear why he couldn't finish the game? His parents put him in timeout.
Right. Curfew.
He was grounded.
Last night's win also contributed to the Sabres now being in the #1 wild card spot, just ahead of the Boston Bruins, who are 1 point behind them. And the Sabres play tomorrow night at 7 p.m. against the Montreal Canadiens. So a little road trip now. But they're looking good. They're fun to watch, exciting hockey. Can't win them all, but I mean, I think they've won 15 of their last 20 games, 15-4-1, I believe. So they're on a roll. It's fun to watch them.
It is. And the fact that they've got so much young talent now speaks well for their future. Right? If these young kids are playing so well, it looks good down the road. Yeah,
for sure. And also, we were talking about KeyBank Center. We know that they're pressing forward with more efforts to renovate KeyBank Center. We've learned that the Sabres are working with a lobbying firm that helped the Bills secure taxpayer funding for the new Highmark Stadium. We've got some big things coming up this year. Just in a couple months is the NCAA tournament, March Madness. That'll be at KeyBank Center. And then the NHL draft in June is also coming to KeyBank Center. Obviously, renovations will not have started by the time those are happening, but they want to be able to host other big events and be able to match the quality of the team also. People are a little disappointed sometimes when they walk into KeyBank Center because it's so old, and it's one of the oldest unrenovated arenas for the NHL in the league. And so
I thought they renovated the roof.
And the scoreboard.
The scoreboard, but not a full
right.
arena.
Yeah, bathroom
renovation.
seats. I mean, just
Right.
a lot of things for fans.
Right.
Need some help. Okay, we will see you back here at 10 o'clock this morning or on Channel 2. And we will certainly have all of the highlights and analysis coming up after that. We've got about 30 seconds for weather.
Cold. Okay, well, cold is coming. Snow today, this afternoon. Some light to moderate snow, maybe an inch or two. More snow showers tonight. High today, 30. High tomorrow, 28. High on Friday, 13. Should I keep going? High on Saturday, 7 to 9 degrees.
Right,
So
you had 9, and then you were like, I might have to lower
been, that might have been a little aggressive. It could be even colder.
Yeah.
So yeah, some of the coldest air in years on the way.
All right, we've been warned. Bye, everybody. Have a great day.